All right, everybody. This is still pretty much just part two of the video. I don't really know how many parts it's going to be, but let's just call it journal entries. Uh, I'm sorry. It's just my professors will get a kick out of that. Oh, he's taking journal applications and applying them to his life. Okay, enough of that. But the topic was systemic problems that we have in the country. So, the root of all evil is money, right? You know, Money is so bad, it makes people do some terrible things. People thought the same thing about alcohol. Take these glasses off because of the glare. Fix my hair a bit. But, everybody's going on, it's during the Prohibition, people thought alcohol, or during that era, people thought alcohol was the root of evil. But the root of evil had nothing to do with alcohol because banning alcohol just opened up the floodgates to more crime and more atrocities. We're talking about speakeasies, the people who ran speakeasies. We're talking about bootlegging, the people who were responsible behind bootlegging, and the people that allowed it to happen, which was a majority of Americans at that time. Yeah, what is it? And then we were seeing the exact same thing um, with this whole war on drugs. It's just all like people benefited out of bootleggers because they were collecting revenue illegally. What happens when the federal government gets a hold of illegal assets? That then becomes the government assets. Of course, after it's used for evidence and processing and all that, then it just becomes funds, right? So that's incentive to go after bad guys. Bad guys have cash. You take them down, you can seize their assets. And even if it's not in hard cash, they still have assets that can be used by the government in some means, or I don't know, they do auctions. They're still collecting revenue on it, right? But it's not necessarily the money that's the problem. We're the problem ultimately, but we're also the solution too, which is why I'm actually posting these videos. I just want to talk to others or just share my thoughts with others, especially about these problems, and that actually recognizing them, uh, you, what is it, to collectively I feel is actually what's going to really help us find solutions. If we're how we're doing things right now with Black Lives Matter, protesting is not the same thing as truly being organized. At least in my opinion. What is it? I wasn't born during the MLK times, but I do know it's just all like they were so much more organized than how it is now. Like there was actual leadership. We don't see leadership in the Black Lives Matter movement because it's supposed to be a movement of the people. But there's a reason why you don't listen to the masses. There's a reason why the masses don't lead. There's a reason why you have leaders, and that's been a historical thing. We have bad leaders, and we've had great leaders. People have really elevated others, but it's not and it does something that does take all of us together to do, but at the same time we can't how can any of us listen to guidance when guidance is coming from the mouth of like hundreds of thousands of people. It's so hard to channel it out, and especially and I guess if everybody's saying the same thing, it'd be easier to follow that guidance because it'd be like, oh, everybody's saying the same thing, I guess I probably should do that. But that's not what what we're hearing here with this Black Lives Matter protest. You know, there was I'd have to source it, but there's been plenty of times when the protests have gone violent. I'm not going to be Ben Shapiro here, and I'm not going to say me advantage all this stuff over here. Again, what is it? It's just all like people are angry about the situation. People feel like their lives are being taken from them by the system that they're a part of, and they feel like they can't get out. There's no escape. So people are going to start banging on their cages. This is people banging on the cages. You may have some insightful violence or provoked violence, but at the same time, you have protesters who are really trying to move things forward. You also have protesters who are actually, what is it, like There's like these black liberation groups that I think is absolutely absurd, where it's about like black men being liberated and nobody else. It's just a flip of the script. Why, how are you going to stop bullying by becoming the bully? You're just creating a new cycle. It doesn't matter because, I mean, think about it. How probably did Africans feel about albino Africans? Probably didn't feel too good, especially during like older times when they didn't even understand what it meant to be albino. They didn't even have a word for it. They probably just called it as you're an abomination. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's the same thing. Same thing that's happening. We can't solve anything by burning things down. We're not going to get far that way. We're just going to recreate the exact system we're in. But I guess that concludes part 2 of this video, and we'll go on to part 3. Also recorded the same day, wearing the same shirt. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.